All right. I am very glad to have here an incredible group of gentlemen, esteemed gentlemen with illustrious careers in the music
Are
business.
you sure you know who's here tonight?
I think I do, man. I think I do. And here's the deal, these three cats right here:
Cat.
Rodger Carter, George Bernhardt, Matt Bissonette. These three cats met on a road gig, if I'm correct. Or no, actually, George and Matt were in the Mustard Seeds together, right?
That is correct.
Were. Yes.
So you guys have a history of playing and incredible music together.
Well, thanks. Mustard Seeds was a blast. It was a great band, and yeah, great guys. George and
I remember seeing you guys at a club like in Granada Hills or something.
oh
That's
yeah.
right.
What's the name of that?
It was like
Yeah.
Jungle or something.
The jungle, yeah. And we were just scrapping to make money. We were playing top 40 gigs and playing club gigs and playing cover songs and just kind of doing whatever we had to do. But we were, getting to play every night, 4 or 5 nights a week, and got the band real tight and stuff. And then that's when George was in the band, and then we started touring with Rick Springfield, and then this whole thing happened. This whole debacle happened.
Yeah, this debauchery.
Now, let me ask you guys about that. I know Rodger, I heard his story of how he got the gig. So you guys were all kind of on that gig together, right?
Yeah, well, around 2000, I joined the band, and then Jack White was playing drums with Rick forever. And then he left the band, and we went and auditioned drummers. And then, hey, George, that's a nice view you got going on there.
I just got in. There was traffic, man, and I'm so sorry, fellas.
That's
Did you
okay.
slip on a banana peel? I don't see you anymore.
But anyway, we were auditioning drummers, and we went through a bunch of guys, and then we were listening to this band next door at Mace rehearsal, and Berlin was playing, and the drummer popped out, which was Rodger, and he goes, "Hey, can I jam on a couple songs?" And we're like, "Okay." He just came in, it was like bam, bam, bam. Rick was like, "You're hired." Probably heard 100 drummers.
Is that easy?
Rodger played like 5 bars, and he goes, "That's my guy."
So that's the answer to the question that when you audition, do you want to go first or do you want to go last?
Yeah.
I usually think when last they're burned out from hearing so many people, they don't even care anymore, but maybe not.
I think George got burned out and just left. He's gone.
On this Zoom meeting.
It was too much for him, man. The in-depth probing, getting to the bottom of all of this.
Your questions, man, they cut to the heart, and you just must have broke his heart.
He'll be back. He'll be back. And that's what's going to make this interview friggin' awesome.
Well,
because the chaotic energy that we have here.
We can actually talk now about some of the problems in the band. Because
I'm so sorry, guys.
Love you, man.
Dude, we're glad to have you back.
We love you. You're
I'm so sorry, fellas.
That's okay. Anyway, so yeah, Rodger joined the band, and then I think Rodger we would come over my studio, I think, and we'd all just jam on stuff and play. We go, let's just start recording some songs, see what happens. It just kind of turned into this thing. And then Rodger's always been the brains of the organization.
Oh yeah.
He talked Rick into letting our band, the Squirts, open up for Rick shows.
Did I don't remember that. I think maybe Ronnie did.
Maybe Ronnie Grinnell did. I don't know.
He was going to take a cut of the action if he got us on the bill.
And look where that got him now. He's got 5 houses.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing was, I've noticed from any band playing with Rick, all eyes on Rick. Every girl is just peeled to him. And when we play with Rick, we would be playing, and you could do anything, and the girls wouldn't even see you. They just focus on Rick, right? So halfway through the show, Rick goes out into the crowd, and we were getting so fed up with it that when Rick would go to the outside of the crowd, the girls would turn around, and then they turn back and they'd go kind of like, "Oh, you guys are up there too." And so it just got to be so crazy.
You could pretty much, the band could like explode in fire and no one would even know.
Yeah, it was all about Rick. So sometimes when they'd turn around and then they'd turn around again and go, "Oh, you guys," we'd have our pants down to our ankles, and they'd be looking at us like, because
you remember playing frisbee with a drum head while he was talking to the crowd, and that night he said, "Hey guys,
yeah, we got the Rick shush."
yeah, we crossed the line playing frisbee on stage."
But that was my point, was when we would open up for the Squirts. I mean, for Rick, it would be like crickets the first few shows, and then we started selling CDs, and people actually started liking the music and singing the words, and it became this thing for a few years, and it really was a great thing, and it was actually a really great glorified sound check for Rick, because we're playing the same. George's playing guitar, I'm playing bass, and we're getting the vocals checked, and I think Rick benefited from that too. So it was a great situation. It was a lot of fun.
That is amazing, and it begs the question, and Matt's going to have the answer for this. Who gets more chicks, David Lee Roth or Rick Springfield?
Now?
Not now. Now we know Rick would get it now, right? But I'm talking 1980, or no, you were with Roth in what?
1917 to 1987 till 91, something like that.
Okay.
I wasn't counting, and I don't know. I signed papers that I can't say anything about anybody, especially Rick, because Rick's really into the legal thing. We can't talk about him at all.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. Actually, I couldn't answer that question. I mean,
yeah, well, I don't mean like numbers of like Back to the Room. I mean like who draws the most women?
Rick.
Now I'd say Springfield for sure.
Yeah.
Rick is, I mean, David Lee Roth was, I mean, Van Halen thing, but Rick Springfield, Jesse's Girl, and being on a soap opera and everything. I mean, the audience was predominantly women, and it was cool because it was generations of women. There would be a grandma, a mom, and a granddaughter, and it was amazing that they came out, and it was like this hang for all these ladies, and I found it quite fascinating though that they got to share in, and they all enjoyed the shows, and a whole family, generations shared and enjoyed his shows. So that was fun being a part of that for sure.
Yeah.
It was like a family. It was a family for a lot of these women, and and Rick's fans. They would go there, and Rick is such a good guy, and he puts out this thing that you just want. It's like a family, and they would show up. I don't know how they knew, but we'd show up at a hotel, and there'd be like 300 girls standing there. They knew where we were. We kind of have a feeling who the bug was, but we're not.
Yeah, there was a leak in the organization.
Yeah.
Sure.
But he still does. He's got that thing. I tried to kind of walk with him one time to a jam session after one of the gigs. He asked me to kind of play with him and walk to the next room where he's going to play. And I got manhandled by girls trying to get to him. And I said, never again am I going to put myself in that position.
Wow.
Because it was one day in that guy's life, I can't even imagine what it would be like. It's crazy.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. But that would be such a fun gig to do, because you're just watching the crowd and seeing the reactions. These girls are probably screaming and stuff, right?
Well, to a degree, yeah, but they were full on. They knew all the words.
Well, they've
seen
when the Squirts played also, but it was for a completely different reason.
Yeah, because they felt sorry for us.
No. Now I know that they have very supportive fans.
Yeah.
So I know that once you guys got out there and they knew who you were and they started hearing your music, I have no doubt that those fans were buying your records and supporting you guys as well. And that was probably a great thing about Rick's gig is Rick would be supportive. I mean,
Springfield even let us sell like CDs and T-shirts in the merch booth. I mean,
that's amazing.
Anyone else?
Extremely generous for sure in that department. I mean, what a great boss. I have nothing but wonderful things to say about how open
Do you
to.
think he's listening right now? Is that what's going on?
No,
I don't think he cares anymore.
no, he doesn't care. He doesn't like us anymore, from what I gather. Just kidding.
The cool thing, the coolest thing was he was very supportive, and he would see us. In fact, that's kind of how I think I started writing and producing with Rick, is because he would see us go out and play these songs, and they were pretty heavy, and a lot of like Beatle vocals and different things going on, and he's kind of going, I like a couple of those songs, it's pretty cool, and I think it kind of led to that. So yeah, not only supportive, but kind of really supportive, and one more thing about the fans. There was a lot of guy fans that I met that were musicians that loved to see Rick, and
Wow.
they would start buying our CDs too, and they were really smart music guys, and
Wow.
and a lot of people think about with Rick that it's all about how he looks and how that whole thing, but the guy's a really talented writer, singer, player, and a lot of musicians really really respect him. And one of the reasons that my brother and I got into playing rock and roll was seeing Rick playing in Toronto. We were out on the road with Maynard Ferguson, and I think I told you this
Yeah.
last time. And Rick was playing across the street, and that sound of girls screaming compared to the sound of jazz people clapping, it was like, we want to do that, So it was definitely, Rick has had a big deal in our lives, So thank you, Rick.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. And I like that you brought up. I get a lot of people on this channel that ask, well, how do I get my songs cut? Or how do I get into a touring act? Or how do I do this and all? Well, you just showed a pathway right there. You want to produce, maybe you get lucky and you get a road gig. But then you let him hear, just not pitch them the songs. Don't go, hey man, cut my song, because you really can't do that. That's not cool to be, hey man. But if you're in a situation where they just happen to hear your band and the songs that you're writing, boom, you just slide on over. Next thing, you're in the producer's slot.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's
Those two records that you produced are definitely my favorite, and I'm not just saying that. I think those are Rick's two best records.
well. Thanks.
It was Venus and Overdrive, and what the other one's?
Songs for the End of the World.
Yeah, Songs for the End of the World.
Good. There's some good material on that. That was well written. That was well thought out. Well produced. That was a lot of
Right,
fun.
so isn't there a Squirt song on one of his records?
Oh yeah, we wrote a song, the Squirts.
Gabriel.
Gabriel.
Gabriel, right?
Yeah, and we redid that with Rick, and but that's the thing I mean, the greatest thing in life is playing music, and the greatest, even better, is playing music with your friends. So I got to be in Rick's band with these two knuckleheads. We had the Squirts, but then we all played on Rick's records. And this is the combination of guys that did Rick's records. And Tim Pierce would play, and George Nastos played guitar on some. But it was basically these guys. And since I've known them so well, I know they could do anything. Like, Rodger, play this beat and try this. And we'd rehearse like for 3 days before the records. And we'd go in there knowing exactly what we're going to do, because we all know each other so well, and we know what our weaknesses and strengths are. And it makes it, I told Rick, I said, well, if we do this record, I can cut your budgets by $90,000 and we'll get it done in 40 days. I remember we were at the airport. You guys remember this? We were at the airport going to some city with Rick, and I sat him down. I go, Rick, if you let me produce your record, I'll get it done in 40 days. And he's like, because the last couple records that he did took like a year and a half, 2 years. Yeah. It just kind of was just going slower than normal.
Well, do you remember when Rodger first joined the band, and we'd already played with Rodger, and we did a couple of little recordings, and then I remember when we were at LAX. I can't remember where we were going, but you said, yeah, check out, we're going to record an album. And this is the Squirts. This was right in the very beginning, the inception. And you said, we're going to record an album. We'll have it done in 2 weeks, and we'll hand it to you, and we can be your opening act. And you said that as a joke, just as goofing off, but we did get it done. I think we got it done within a month.
Yeah.
And then I remember going to the airport again. You go, here you go, Rick, here's a Squirts CD. And he's like,
right.
What?
I forgot about
already
that.
Got it done? And so he listened to it and he liked it. And I remember that he called his manager at the time. He says, "I have our opening band for Rick Springfield," and it was us. And he made that decision. I remember how fast that happened, and it was all just in passing and kind of we were joking about it, partly serious, but kind of joking about it. And he was like just thrilled about it. And
Hey, do you guys remember we were playing some venue where they eat before the show starts, and there's all these tables that go right up to the stage. So the Squirts are playing, and we see Matt get off the stage, and we're thinking, we're jamming. Where's he going? Where's he going? And you sat down next to some guy and started eating his food.
That was Chastain Park, Atlanta, wasn't it?
I don't know.
It may have been. Was it an outdoor
I almost
venue?
fell off the drum seat. I was laughing so hard.
Yeah, that's life, right? I mean, Brad, like you're saying, like pathways to get to where you want to go. And when you're playing music with your friends, it's the greatest thing in the world. So I think when finally he heard that album, and we just said, I said, I tell you what, we can get this thing done 40 days, save you money, but you got to let Chris Lord-Alge mix it, because I know it's going to be a little bit more money, but that's what we're going to, I'll never forget, we did the album, we got it done, we recorded it, and it was pretty much right on the 38th, 39th day, and we went to mixing. And Rick and I, we did a lot of the vocals and some guitars at his house, and we went in his studio, and we had the first song, "What's Victoria's Secret," from the Venus and Overdrive record, and we're like, and I'm sweating bullets because I'm thinking, this is either going to be great or he's going to look at me like, what do you, because I mean, I kind of dragged him like, this is going to be great, and then we listened to the mix, and we both just sat there, and I looked at him, and he had like a tear running down his eye, and I did too. I was just like, wow, this is what it's supposed to be like, and I'll never forget that, man. And it was just because of these guys, I mean, just making it, making a good song, a really good song. And that's the difference,
Yeah, and that's a great segue into talking about the new album by the Squirts. It's Squirts 3, right?
Yes, sir.
And it's coming out when?
The end of this week, I think, right?
Yeah.
We still have time to change the title if you got a better title.
I like the title Squirts 3. And look, man, all of this stuff, all this information that Matt's giving here, this is very valuable information. A lot of people waste a lot of time, recording an album. We've all seen the meme of the skeleton at the mixing board saying the mix is almost done, right? I've had
Let
stuff.
me tell you, I know that well.
and look, man, the reality is time is money, and being able to produce something and get it out. And like you said, you had to drag Rick along a little bit and say, stick with the plan, here's the plan, and stay on that path. But that's a valuable lesson. And so having all that experience, getting the first Squirts album out there, getting it out to the fans, getting that slot to open up for Rick. And now let me tell you something. I've pre-listened to this new Squirts 3 album, and it is absolutely incredible.
Oh, thanks, man.
I want to know, how in the hell did you guys write this stuff?
Well, a lot of it.
Take all the credit for that. Thank you very much.
It's the drummer, mostly. The lyrics are mostly Rodger. And no, but I'm gonna give George gets really weird about getting compliments, but this guy is amazing at coming up with guitar parts. I mean, this was a different thing because when did we start recording this thing? Was it during COVID or was it after COVID?
No, during COVID.
It was during COVID. I remember the email from Rodger with that first song that we recorded 10, 15 years ago.
Right. So COVID, like we talked about last time, Brad, was kind of a spawning ground for a lot of bands just because we're home. And so George is a really great computer guy. He saves me all the time with my computer breaking down. He'll help me out. And he's just got that brain, just a different kind of brain. and he applies that with his guitar of just different angles of doing things. So however a song would start, like Rodger would send out a beat or something and an idea, and it was just piggybacking, total piggybacking, trying to use everyone's strength. So I'd kind of come up with a basic idea, send a couple bars to George. We kind of get the songs in the working order before we'd send it to Rodger so that he knew what to play to. But the COVID shut down, and then all the getting your stuff together at home just saved so much time and money. We can say that the album didn't cost us anything because George mixed it and we all produced it together, and it didn't cost us a cent besides just putting it,
The time.
And that's what it's supposed to be, and but basically it was just a total group effort on everything, and like the song, there's a video that we have coming out, Not Enough, what's the song called? The clown song? Not a Good Time for a Clown. We've always been goofballs up on stage, and we write a lot of lyrics that are kind of goofy and can be taken a million different ways. So there's probably some lyrics that some people might not agree with, or they won't get it, or they won't think it's funny or whatever. But our biggest thing is writing lyrics that are kind of funny and inside of our band humor, And with Rodger, humor is a very important thing. Because Rodger was the guy, I think I said this too, when we were in airports, Rodger would tie a $20 bill to a string.
Oh man!
Put it out in the hall. A guy's going to his gate, and he'd like drop his bags and pick up the dollar, pick it up, and Rodger will scoot it out. And Rodger would take all the door numbers off the hotel rooms and change them and watch everybody hit
I remember that.
That kind of stuff.
That was a good caper.
That was a really good caper. I like that one.
So our goal was to put all of that, like Jerry Seinfeld says, we want to keep this and introduce that. We want to kind of introduce some humor. Some of the songs are pretty heavy lyrically about what we stand for, what we think and stuff, but it's really just songs. We haven't really, we're not trying to change the world, and be the most brilliant guys in the world, but we're really proud of this record, and I love everything about it. I just listened to the whole thing again, top to bottom, the other day, and I'm just really proud of it.
Well, man, I'm gonna step out on a limb and say that this is some of the best stuff out there, because here's the deal, and Not a Good Time for a Clown. I heard a little bit of Nashville in that. It kind of starts off, and I'm hearing Nashville a little bit, and then I hear the heavy Beatles influence, and I know that's a lot of that's coming from Matt. But I hear that's some of the recurring themes that I hear in some of this stuff. But it's amazing because, if you're in Nashville, you're going to write a chord, number chart, and it's going to be 1, 6, 4, 5, and it's repeat, and then there might be a bridge, and that's your song, right? But this stuff is way more melodically composed. It goes somewhere. You're like,
thank you very much. I really had to dig down deep to write these songs, and I'm glad you're enjoying them, and I'm glad I can take my friends for a ride on my coattails. Actually,
True isn't true.
Well, hey, the drum work is very creative on this album, and these are not easy songs to play on any instrument.
One thing for sure is when you send Rodger a song, he doesn't do what everybody does.
No, definitely not.
He always does something that you just go, wow. And at first you're kind of going, because you program a drum machine or something, and it's always 2 and 4 or something, and then he'll do like or whatever his thing is. It takes you like a second to go, oh, this is really, really cool. And that's pretty amazing. So I don't think Rodger can play a straight drum beat as good as anybody, but I think he refuses to, because he would always go, I want it to be fresh. He'd always say fresh.
Fresh was, that's a key word.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like, okay,
Well, a big part of it is like all of us are side guys, basically. So we're always playing other people's songs, and we're always being, not in a bad way, but we're kind of being dictated to what to play and how to play and all this and that. So, when you get with just your friends and there are no rules, it's so great.
Yeah.
Just really try anything you want and do anything you want. And, sometimes you'll play something and then they'll email it back to you with a thumbs down, but very rarely.
More often than not.
And if I can add to this, this is the first time. The other two Squirts CDs, we actually, the three of us got together at Matt's studio, and we would come up with ideas, and we would bounce stuff off of each other in that room. Rodger's on the drums, Matt's on bass, I got a guitar, just riffing out and trying these songs. This is the first time and the first album where all three of us own studios, and where the song idea would blossom. It would, the inception of the whole idea would happen. Either Matt, I'd come up with a riff, or Rodger would come up with a drum beat that would inspire something. But the freedom that every player, every one of us had, was having our own studio, and you would get the MP3 file and a click track, and you had the freedom to try whatever you wanted to try on that song. And this entire album, we were never in a room together. We would talk about things, but we all had that creative freedom as a drummer, as a bass player, lyricist, melody singer, and a guitar player to go, yeah, this guy, I'm not feeling this, and try and experiment and see where it took. And then when you get the feedback from the other guys, it was always such a surprise and just so unique. And for me, sitting here, mixing it at the end, I was like, golly, did these guys come up with some amazing stuff that on God's earth, I would never have thought of that. I would never, sitting here writing my own songs, I would never have thought of that part.
I remember getting the song "Didn't See That Coming" on the new CD, when it was just, we hadn't played drums on it yet, and George hadn't done his thing. And I remember getting going, wow, this is really a weird song. It was something Matt usually doesn't. It had like a.
I was in London on the road with Elton, and then I was just bored, and I was sitting in my room with the computer, and it was just Omnisphere stuff and drum beat stuff, and it was completely left field. So anyway. Yeah,
it was like this dance tune, and he's singing really low, and I was like, this is a really weird tune. Oh well, and now it's one of my favorite songs.
That's one that I made notes. I made notes about all the songs, right? And didn't see that coming. I'm listening to it. I go, wait a minute, where's Raj? Because I hear the little, like, the program beat, and I'm like, okay, I know he's coming. He's coming.
There's a rule that
there he is now. All right.
There's a rule that we all have to play on it. If you're not going to play on a song, he'd quit the band. That's the way Rodger is.
Yeah, that one's got a really cool guitar solo in it too.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, man. Really great guitar tones on this whole record. And normally when I hear a guitar player, I can go, that's a plexi, that's a twin reverb. That's I can kind of imagine what the blueprint is. And this is a record where I'm like, I don't know what he's using. It's incredible guitar tones, but it's like nothing like anything I've heard. So can you give us give me some tips? What are you using?
Whatever tool, not that I'm lazy or anything like that, but as soon as you get in the moment, I can go down a rabbit hole technically going, let's try the Marshall. Oh, let's try the divided by 13. Oh, let's try the axe effects. Let's try if I go down that, usually I'll just, here it is, the first thing that I'm playing, and then I'll just refine it and start with the basic, just the basis of it. And then, it's just like try to change up the tones as you start layering different guitar parts and everything. But a lot of it was just my Marshall, between the three. I really enjoyed using the axe effects, my Marshall and my divided by 13. I switched it up. I did a couple with I got a couple of 65 Fender Deluxes that I did the clean tones with, but it was just, whatever was quick and available that wouldn't, redirect my efforts from, coming up with the parts or playing the parts and running down that technical hole of going, oh geez, I gotta dial this in or that in. I left that all for at the end at the mixing. There was a couple of songs that I was like, when I was mixing it, I was like, okay, this sucks. I got to change this because this isn't fitting this tonality wise. So I'd redo it there in that moment. But you know, it was just whatever is available and the quickest.
Now that's something that I'm thinking about here, because these songs, there's a lot of voice leading. The melody is going here, and then the melody, and there's different chord changes. Like "Funny You Should Ask." There's parts of it where I'm like, there's chordal movement, kind of like Steely Dan, kind of going on there. There's descending bridge that goes down. I think it goes down half steps or something there.
Yep.
How do you get that?
Oh, dude, you do it.
Well, how do you, I guess somebody has to maybe send the demo that maybe here's some chord changes kind of roughly put in there or something, because it's hard to, if you just sang a vocal, I don't know. Tell me about that process.
I think our goal on this record was to, like George said, there's no rules. It's not like we're 24 years old and we're trying to get a record deal and trying to change the world and go on the road and all that stuff. So that frees you up right there. You can do what you want. You don't have to have every song be. Our goal was to make every song different. So you listen to it. And with the Mustard Seeds, we try and make every song the same because the 10 songs had to be unified. So that's so much more freeing now to do that. But I think one of the goals for me on this record was every song has to have an interesting bridge. We're all big fans of the bridge, and it's a forgotten thing. So we wanted we kind of have a lot of these breakdown left field bridges that have nothing to do with anything, and then come in on it. And we wanted to change keys in the middle of sections, in the middle of a solo, change a key. And because, I mean, face it, we're all listening to music, and after 20 seconds, we either turn it off or we're in, and that's the way the new music is. It's like if some kids listening to music after 10 seconds, next. And so we are what we are. We're a bunch of older guys that we love what we love, but we're just trying to write where our hearts are. Like there's a song on there that kind of sounds like Yes.
Over the Moon.
Over the Moon. Look at you. Who's done his homework?
Oh, wait.
Trevor Rabin era. Yes.
Yes, exactly. And that's exactly what that was, because we love Yes.
Oh
And
my God, I love
we
that.
love Big Generator, Yes. We love Fragile, Yes. We love all that stuff. So I got out my good old Rickenbacker, and we tried to do those lines and stuff. And that's what's great about doing stuff at home. And I could just mess around at home, make mistakes, and not on the clock, just do it. And it's pretty amazing that we are living at a time we can do this, at our age. And
Yeah.
George, did I offend you?
Later, dude.
Hey,
So when I heard that, I said that sounds like Yes, right? And now we got Nobody.
Everybody.
I don't think I like Yes very much.
What did you use to get that gnarly Chris Squire bass tone? You
Well,
used that bass, but what did you use on the amp side?
I think I just went through my Mark. I think I used my Mark bass amp, and then an Ampeg modeler, and I think George, who's no longer with us, might have put some other Schmetzma on there and stuff. I'm not.
Okay.
He's passed out.
Did you ever meet Chris Squire back in the LA days?
Didn't I tell you that Chris Squire story when I was? Oh man, I got a great Chris Squire story. So we're out on the road with Joe Satriani, and we're playing a festival in Europe.
Am I back?
You're back, pal.
Yeah.
And so Yes is playing on the big stage, and so I go back there and get to meet him, and so I'm sitting around. He's like 7 feet tall, and at that time I was having reoccurring nightmares that Chris Squire was at sound check, and the band's going around in a circle, and he couldn't do their sound check. So in my dream, I'm running to try and get on stage, and I can't get on stage. I'm like this, my arms are going like this, and I never made it up there, right? So I meet Chris Squire, and I'm back there, and I have my arm around him. I'm gonna do my photo, and he's like, okay. I tell him that story. I go, hey man, you have no idea, you're an amazing bass player, and I've always loved you, and because I was a fish out of water, all that stuff, man. Big, huge Chris Squire fan. And I tell him the whole story, and I'm like that, and he goes, great, take the picture. Just like, I've heard this a million times, just get out of my face. So that was my one time I got to meet that guy, and then he passed away not much longer after that. But
wow,
George, what did you put on the bass on the Ricky for that?
You know what? As soon as we went away from that Ricky sound, remember where we had the left and the right, the stereo Ricky?
Right.
And you suggested I sent you what I had, which was the stereo thing, and the left was a little different than the right. Then you said, "Hey," and I'm like, "Man, I love this bass part." And you said, "Well, then dump one of them, and just use the Ricky sound as aggressive and as abrasive as it could be."
Right.
And then I was like, "Okay." And then I treated the second one, the other sound, to fatten up certain parts that in the chorus per se, and just add that one in sporadically just to do something different in those sections. But predominantly what you sent me, man, and I love that sound, especially the Chris. That's what I was going for. As soon as you and I are, we're like the biggest Yes fans on the planet and loving everything those guys, and especially Chris Squire, his sound. And you gave me that. I was like, okay, we're going to town on this.
When you're chasing Chris Squire sound, there's so many things that we don't know
Oh,
about.
good Lord.
Some people know about that. He would double his part with a guitar up an octave or whatever for certain things. I don't know what that is, but all I know is when I hear those old records, that bass sticks out like crazy.
Yeah.
Because there's a thinner drum sound and a higher snare, Bruford higher snare, and Steve Howe's guitars are super thin.
Yeah.
Maybe his bass speaks more, and maybe that's the growl, but I don't know how he does it, man. But whatever that was.
Yeah. I almost felt like Geddy Lee was kind of copping the Chris Squire thing a little bit.
Oh, they loved Yes too. Oh, Lee, are you
Yeah.
kidding? Genesis and Yes. I'm from Canada, and Chris, Rush played our high school, so you could see them locally back in the day. But those guys are huge fans of Genesis, and especially Yes.
Geddy Lee played with Yes at the Rock and
Yeah,
Roll
he
Hall.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was amazing. He did Roundabout with him, and it was amazing. He did a great job.
Yeah. Man, that's amazing. And there's another influence I hear on this record. And I think maybe my favorite song on the record is the last song, Lobster.
The last one.
Oh, that's on there, isn't it?
I'm hearing the Police when I hear Lobster.
You are.
Am I getting that vibe?
This is a whole Rodger question. So
The Lobster is on this record?
It's the bonus track.
You sneaky cats, you.
Yeah.
that was Rodger's idea. Rodger's always liked that song.
I like that song too, but anyway.
We were on a plane with Rick Springfield, and we're sitting there, and there's this lady with this box, and she's sitting there just sitting there looking straight ahead, no personality, nothing. What's in the box? Oh, lobster. And then this poor lobster's like sticking his paw, out of the hole.
Paw.
He's on his way to get eaten, like in slow motion through. He's getting, he knows where he's going. So that song started with that, but Rodger wanted a song that would never end, and that's kind of what it is. It never ends. It's still going.
It does a rave up, right? Like an old Yardbirds tune. It starts to take off. Train kept a rolling or something, and then it you think it's ended, right? And then he counts it off and comes back in. But here's another thing, another influence on that song, King Crimson.
Yeah.
Oh God. King
Right?
Crimson. The
Elephant
Discipline album.
Elephant Talk. And
Oh yeah.
Bling, that guitar on the upbeat.
Yeah.
Full on. You caught that one, huh? Unbelievable. I OD'd on that album. That was a great album with those guys, Adrian Belew and those guys.
Yeah.
Robert Fripp, unreal.
Man, I don't know, dude. Maybe a video of Lobster needs to. You get some guy to do a cartoon with the lobster and put that out.
I want to know what happened to that lobster, so I think we need to write a Lobster Part 2.
I think it is Lobster Part 2 already. It's still going. For all these poor people that haven't heard the record yet, we're yammering on about these songs. But I mean, obviously, we're all in love with every band that's out there. And yeah, Police, King Crimson, all these guys, it's just who we are. We're not anything original outside of everything we've ever heard. Well,
this is what I think is relating it to these sounds and these legendary groups is giving an idea to people so that they can hit the link that I'm going to put in the description and they'll be able to check this album out, because I know there's a lot of fans of these bands that we've mentioned, these influences, right? But a lot of those bands are not putting out new music anymore.
Right.
And so if you want, and here's the other thing, a lot of people are saying that today's music sucks. I'm not going to sit here and say it, but for people that are looking for something good, that want to have faith in the world of music, I say, listen to the Squirts 3, my friends.
We love bread.
I'm serious now. I'm serious to everybody out there, because this stuff, man, is really good. And like I said, we're talking about an album that people haven't heard, but what's going to happen is I'm going to air this video on a Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm going to have all my little crew, listening to the interview and everything, and we'll send a shout out to all of them. But they're going to be curious and want to hear this record because of all this talk.
We love bread.
The CD's available, believe it or not. We actually, there's a company that, is going to put out the CDs for us. So you can buy a physical CD if you want.
Great guy named Dave from Vanity Records.
Vanity Records. Or you can just download it from Bandcamp. And I guess Brad will have the link.
Yeah, I've got the link. And like I said, I'm going to put both links to either buy the physical CD or to buy the download on Bandcamp. And there's a lot of people that like having a physical copy of a record.
Yeah.
So I think this is great that you've got that, because, man.
One more thing. If you go to Bandcamp, you can actually listen to it, without buying it. I think they let you listen to like half the tunes. I don't know. There's some limit, but you can check out most of the record.
And part of our problem is that Rodger's our business manager.
Monkey business.
No, yeah, that's a great thing. You know what? If you like it and you want to buy it, great. And we would be honored to have a CD in your home. Even if you use it for an ashtray or frisbee, whatever it is, we want to be in your home. We want to see what's going on in your home. No, we're just happy that we would just be happy that you listen to the music, because it means a lot to us, because we're pouring out a lot of ourselves in it, and we're just thankful at our age that we're still friends and that we're still making music. It's a blessing. So Brad, you're a great guy for even bringing that up, man. Thanks.
Well, I'm elated, one, that for the first time on my channel have an entire band. And you guys have got all this, history together, and all the funny, stories and everything that you've been through, and interesting artists. I mean, here's the thing, man. I'm going to plug the Squirts again, because I would say most of the artists that any of us have played with, and me included, the materials, once you get it down under your fingers and you've played about a dozen shows, it becomes automatic pilot. Mm-hmm. This material here, I think you would really have to be paying attention, and you definitely wouldn't want to have a couple pops before you went out there to play these songs, because this is not hammering out a 4-chord, a pop song.
Wow. Well, that's nice of you to say that. I mean, we're kind of just dressing up simple songs. It's kind of like Steely Dan. Steely Dan would have a simple idea, but the way they would do it, just so intelligent sounding. I'm not saying we're intelligent by a long shot, but a lot of the stuff, I got to hand it to George for the guitar stuff, to making simple things sound a lot more intricate and different, And it was quite a journey. I'm just glad we got it done, because we didn't know if we were going to get it done.
Yeah, it was definitely a journey. It was definitely a bit of a long haul with some challenges during that time. Yeah. Definitely, but we came out on the other side, which is definitely a blessing. Came out alive. I love that. still alive.
We're still here. These two guys are still here. I'm still here, but more importantly, Bad Brad. Behind that microphone.
This is past my bedtime, man.
You guys know that I was in a band with Brad?
Yeah.
What band?
What it was called Shock and the Night and Day Horns. It was like a Hollywood strip,
Sunset Strip, baby.
That's great.
Hair
That's
band,
cool.
dude.
in the 80s.
I love how Brad in his interviews, he's so humble and he acts like he's not really a musician, but he could dust us all.
Brad's really funky. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Ah.
He comes off. He's like super humble, and it's almost like he knows the whole room already. He's got it all figured out.
I'll tell you what, I would have to spend a lot of time trying to figure out what you guys are doing in these tunes.
You know what? We probably need another guitar player to pull it off. So don't go too far.
Man, I tell you what, these songs are great. And the vocals, Matt, that's all you, right?
It's all him.
Did you sing any, George? Did you do anything on this?
No, the only other vocal is Irene.
Yeah, you're gone. Yeah, that's right.
I screamed white noise about 10 times.
That's right. So there. And this is the famous Rodger Carter story about, did I tell you this, Brad? I have to say, I'm sorry. We're at my house like 50,000 years ago, and we're recording a song. Did I tell this story, Brad?
No.
About boys getting ready, girls getting ready?
No.
We're writing a jingle for some, I don't know, or some kind of song, and the chorus is really heavy, like Rage Against the Machine. Boys getting ready, the girls are getting ready. And Rodger wrote the words, and he goes, I want to sing this. So at my house, he goes into to sing, and we're checking him out, and he's singing it, and he's so into it. He's like, boys getting ready, the girls are getting ready. And we hear this sound, and we go, what the heck happened? And Rodger's like this with his head down. He blew out his tooth. So we just kept rewinding it and hearing the sound of the tooth come out of the capsule.
He dropped a chiclet during the vocal take.
We laughed so hard.
Well, the truth, I had a cracked tooth and I was going to the dentist that week, but I didn't make it.
That sounds like a Nashville story, man.
Yeah, that's
some Tennessee shit right there.
He just wanted to have it be drums and percussion. So that's that. But there's so many stuff like that, so many little things that I don't even remember till we start talking.
Golly.
It just makes it all great, But Brad, start practicing, man, and get your chops together, because we can't do it without, it's three guys. We need.
Hey, man, I tell you what, I'm kind of retired from that stuff. That's why I'm doing all this stuff here. But man, you guys' music is so incredible that
Brad's good friends with John Billings too. There's that circle too that we all kind of know.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
John's yeah. Wow.
We've done recording projects and stuff like that, but our projects would take a year to get done. So that's the difference.
Well, we won't say how long it took us to get this done, because a lot of things happen in the middle of it beyond our control. But in reality, we did it pretty quick, but we just would take long times to finish it just because we had life,
Yeah.
So we're just happy it got done.
Are there any plans to do any live shows?
We've
at this point, that's hard. I would say at this point, no.
Yeah, the record guys keeps throwing that out there, but I mean, it would just be us and the janitor. I don't know who would,
Right.
All the people that buy the CD.
We're like old guys. No one wants to see it, but when you listen to it, you don't know that they're old guys. So that.
What about the baked potato?
We could do.
You guys could pack the baked potato, bro.
Well, that's something to shoot for.
You could stuff the potato.
You could do a live show from the baked potato, record it, and then you put that out as the fourth record.
Or we could do the live recording, take it home and redo the whole thing and say it was live.
No, just overdub all the backing vocals.
Exactly. I like the way you think, Brad.
Or do what the kids do today and just have tick 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 and then
Yeah.
right. You have all these glorious background vocals and
Uh,
it's three guys on stage,
hey,
one mic.
You got to do what you got to do. I get it. How kids, if they get used to hearing a record a certain way, they're not going to dig going to a show and they don't hear all that glitz on it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's a tough spot for young bands right now. You
Yeah.
got to like the record. So it's the way it is.
Yeah.
Computers are a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. My thing is I always like to go to a concert and get new information. I would go see even Eddie Van Halen would sneak little things in that he didn't put on the record, and I would have to go to the concert and go, okay, what the hell was that he did and he threw in the middle of that solo or whatever. And I think you were hoping to go see a magical night. Jimi Hendrix never played the same every night. It was always something different. And that's why they could keep putting out live albums, because it wasn't the same song, click, click, click every night. Every performance was a piece of, there was some magic moments in there.
Yep, I agree. Absolutely.
And so, it's harder now. And now kids think, oh, well, we just want to hear the record. Well, shit, you could stay home and hear that.
Yeah.
But you're not getting any new information. You're not getting any spontaneous magic, which is seemingly gone in a lot of places.
Sad to say, but I think you hit it. I mean, that's just the way it is these days. But I mean, we're all blessed to be able to see really great YouTube stuff of young bands playing stuff. And I think for the most part, it's real live stuff and they're amazing musicians. I mean, it's not like the musicianship has gone down. It seems like it's better than ever. It's just sad that you can't hear them more in places, to see them really do it, So,
Have you guys heard of a guitar player named Corey Wong?
oh yeah, Corey Wong's great.
I just found this guy like a month ago, and man, he's so great. That whole band is ridiculous.
That band is amazing.
Have you guys heard about, and this is a hot topic still, have you heard about the Giacomo Tura scandal?
No.
Okay, this is a huge, huge thing. This guy, Giacomo Tura, he's an Italian guitar player, right?
Right.
And what he was doing was he was finding solos or performances of other guitar players that didn't have a huge following, but had great chops. And he would steal their performance. A lot of these guys didn't even know that he had stolen their licks because they had just improvised some solo.
Yeah.
And 10 years later, this Giacomo kid learns the solos, plays them at half speed into his Verispeed, right? And then all of a sudden posts on Instagram of him blazing through these solos that he stole, right? He stole the solos from lesser known players. And then he would sell the transcriptions as if they were his own compositions on his website.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, dude, it caused a huge, huge thing on YouTube because it's like exposing all kinds of theft, and here's the other kicker. It'd be one thing, because this guy from doing this started getting good gigs. He got on the George Benson cruise with Steve Lukather and all these other players, right? He's getting booked on shows, but people are going to the shows and going, well, that's the playing skills that you're playing live don't match what you are putting in these videos. He's in the videos, he's playing cool stuff, but you get him in the room and say, play over E7, and it ain't happening.
I heard
That's like me.
That's like George Santos in the Senate.
Ooh, I heard about that. I heard that they're busting guys online for fraudulent activity, and that's too bad. Well, you know, what are you gonna do? It's
But
What can
you know, I do have to say there are some good bands out there. I've got a young daughter that is a music buff, and she texts me, "Dad, I found this song. What do you think of this?" And I mean, it ranges in different styles, from heavy stuff to the where the guys are, doing the vocal thing, and then some of the stuff that are very melodic. And I'm sitting here going, where are musicians coming up with this amazing stuff? So I do have to say there, being exposed to this via my daughter, there is some wonderful stuff going on. There's some obviously some unscrupulous things going on, like you said there, but there are some clever, wonderful musicians coming out in this day and age that I sit there and I'm amazed by some of them. I'm just like, wow.
Yeah.
The
The talent level has gotten crazy when you see like Matteo Mancuso.
Oh, geez, Luis, that guy.
He plays like a bass player on guitar.
Exactly.
And his whole technique is insane. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, there's some amazing, wonderful players out there, and it's fun to watch that stuff because it's a whole new world out there with the YouTube, all the tools that folks have these days to hone their craft.
I like the YouTube.
And this is going to be on the YouTube, and I want to thank all of you guys for doing this.
Well, thank you for having us.
This was incredible.
You're a good
and the Squirts 3 is going to be out when this video drops, which will be a week from tomorrow. And man, I want to thank you guys for an amazing interview and for making incredible music and sharing it with the world.
God bless you, Brad. You're a good man. Thank you very much, buddy.
Thank you, Brad.
You guys rock, and let's do this again. Hey, get to work on the next record, kid.
Let's go. I think we'll call it 4.
You got 2 weeks. Get to work.
40 days, we'll have it. Thanks,
Rock
buddy.
on, guys. Thank you,
Brad.
All right, have a great night.
You too. Bye-bye.